House Speaker Mike Johnson says he was with President Trump yesterday when Trump's dramatic feud with Musk escalated on social media. And in an interview earlier today, the speaker hit back at Musk's criticisms of the Republicans' bill.
It's not personal. It shouldn't be personal. I don't tell my friend Elon I don't argue with him about how to build rockets, and I wish he wouldn't argue with me about how to craft legislation and pass it.
Now, Johnson's comments are notable. He and Republicans have often defended Musk's unprecedented power within the federal government.
I think there's a gross overreaction in the media to what is happening. We don't see this as a threat to Article 1 at all. We see this as an active, engaged, committed executive branch authority doing what the executive branch should do.
I think the American people ought to be saying to Elon, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I love what Elon Musk is doing. He's a genius. Probably one of the most brilliant, accomplished, effective human beings ever to walk on planet Earth.
He doesn't have to be doing this. He's the richest guy in the world. He could be on a rocket somewhere. Where is he? He's helping us.
CNN's Arlette Saenz is live on Capitol Hill. Arlette, we have this legislation that's now moved over to the Senate. They have to kind of grapple with what they want to do with it. If they make any changes, it's got to go back to the House. There's still a long way to go, and Republicans are going to have to stay united. What are you hearing as this is all unfolding while that's going on Capitol Hill?
Well, Jessica, Republicans up on Capitol Hill are certainly in a tough position as they are watching this very public feud between President Trump and Elon Musk play out at a very critical time for the future of President Trump's economic agenda here on Capitol Hill. Now, most lawmakers really want to keep their distance from this feud, saying that they hope the two men will work it out. The House leadership, like Mike Johnson, have said that they hope that this could be resolved, and they are arguing that it's not going to have any impact on the president's bill that's making its way up here on Capitol Hill. You even have Majority Leader Steve Scalise saying that the conference is more united than ever, even as this fight is playing out. But there are some conservative lawmakers who have expressed concern that a prolonged fight could cause a distraction. And then there are others who are seizing on Musk's initial opposition that set off to this huge rift when he said that this bill spends too much money. Here is a sample of how Republican lawmakers have been reacting to this over the course of the day.
I hope this gets worked out, but I will tell you right now that people are going to be focused on making sure that we get the agenda that we voted for, and that's President Trump's agenda.
Elon's not wrong that we need to cut more and find better ways to get the balance, and then look, and we're working the president hard to do that, and so I'll let those guys toss it out.
I think Elon probably did change the trajectory of this bill 2 or 3 days ago when he came out against it, because people trust the guy who can land rockets backwards more with the math than they do the politicians.
So that really captures the challenging dynamic that Republicans in the House and Senate are facing in this moment as they are still trying to push forward the president's economic agenda here on the Hill, even as this rupture it still continues between President Trump and Elon Musk.
More to come on that. Arlette Saenz on Capitol Hill. Thank you so much.
We have seen already, we've established that President Trump and Elon Musk are breaking up. Congressional Republicans, they are stuck in the middle.
These are two titans. I respect them both. I'm, of course, a huge fan and supporter of President Trump. I was with him in the Oval Office yesterday afternoon when some of this was unfolding, and he was disappointed. I was disappointed. I just hope it resolves quickly.
We need to go away for a while, right, and just let everybody just settle down, and temperatures will lower, and it's going to be okay.
Two biggest dogs in the pound. They're going to turn on each other eventually.
I have a rule. I never get between a dog and a fire hydrant.
Okay, I'm definitely going to find him and follow up to see who's the dog and who's the fire hydrant here. But the timing is very tough because it's right in the middle of Republicans fighting over the president's big piece of legislation. It's his whole agenda. So the question is, who has the upper hand, and what are the ramifications of that going to be on this important piece of policy for the president and for all Republicans? My panel is back. So, Nia, I was talking to a Republican senator this morning who said his take was that if people are forced to choose over personality, between Trump and Elon, which at this moment, that's what people feel like they have to do, they're going to go with Trump. And that there is a chance that the very real concerns that Republicans have with the policy on a host of levels might get overshadowed by the need to support Donald Trump personally.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because do they now just fall in line with Trump in a way to make sure that Trump knows that they are choosing his side? Trump is the father of MAGA. Elon Musk obviously has a foothold. He has this huge platform. He can drive narratives around MAGA and to MAGA. But ultimately, this is Trump's bill. This is Trump's legacy, and the party is likely going to fall in line. I do think Trump is pointing, or Musk is pointing to some problems with the bill, right? That it explodes spending at a time when he was trying to cut spending. It's not really a MAGA bill in the way that Trump has become this patron saint of the working class. They're very much hurt in this bill. It is a kind of giveaway to the rich. Not that Musk is concerned necessarily with that part of it, but it does go against some of this fundamental idea that there should be cuts.
Let's bring in Rogers Chair in the American Presidency at Vanderbilt University, historian Jon Meacham. John, good morning. Always great to see you. Thinking about the busts of Lincoln and Churchill in the Oval Office and those portraits of Washington and Lincoln and others staring down at the President of the United States yesterday as he answered questions about tweets posted by the richest man in the world in this very public feud, what they must have been thinking. What were you thinking as a historian as you watched this yesterday?
That Emerson was right. There is properly no history, only biography. Personalities here matter enormously. And President Trump has always been an exaggerated example of how one person's character, one person's vices and the view of his admirers, his virtues, affect all of us. And there is, as Ali was just saying, this is an enormously important piece of legislation. It could set certainly the next 3 years, perhaps beyond that, which is an enormous amount of time when you're talking about the power and scope of what the federal government does in people's lives. And the nature of that now is somewhat in the hands, somewhat in play, because of this kind of billionaires, non-Brokeback Mountain moment. And so I think what we're looking at is legislatively a really, really interesting political question, which is, will Republican members of Congress find some courage in this, find some margin to oppose the president, to keep pushing on certain elements, because they now have someone else to be afraid of, right? So ordinarily they're just afraid of the president and his remarkable connection to the MAGA base. But now you're looking at a situation where you have someone who has the capacity to put a lot of money behind a primary opponent. And there is no more fearsome verb in Washington than to be primaried. It's hard to conjugate that verb, but that is the central term. And if Elon Musk wants to roll that threat out, he can do it. He's shown he can do it. And so you're looking at a moment here at a particularly crisis hour for this big bill, where there's a countervailing force not coming from the left, but coming from the Republic of Musk.
Well, it's been interesting to watch that exact question, even before this really blew up yesterday, over the last couple of days, John, of, as the criticism from Elon Musk came in for this so-called big, beautiful bill, where would Speaker Johnson side? Where were these members of Congress, some of whom, by the way, had their re-election campaigns bankrolled by Elon Musk? Where would they come down on this? It seems, and Ali can talk about this too, for the most part, they're staying with Donald Trump, that the forces of MAGA are stronger than, I guess, the money and the primary threat that Elon Musk can bring. He's a relative newcomer to the MAGA movement. Just last year, kind of latching onto this is because he thought Donald Trump was going to become president. He was right about that. So what's your suspicion about where Republicans, Speaker Johnson has been pushing back hard against Elon Musk, which way they fall? They stay with the president, or do they follow Elon Musk?
Well, I'm almost always wrong about the future. Not that, I try not to be wrong about the past, but I get some of that wrong too. My suspicion is that MAGA prevails over money in this particular battle. But for the first time, there have been two moments, right, where the Republicans who might not actually believe in what President Trump wants to do. There have been two factors that I think have given them some pause, maybe three. One would be falling poll numbers, right? The president's approval rating not being as high as it might. Then there's now there's Musk, and then there's simply the calendar, which is 3.5 years is 3.5 years, and these folks, their calendar runs on their election cycle. The best way to tell where anyone is going to be, and this is not cynical, it's simply, as Abraham Lincoln said, all people act on incentive. The best way to know where someone's going to land on this bill or anything else President Trump wants to do is show us your primary electorate. Show us the demography of your state. Show us how the funding of your opponents might be. And we can probably 9 times out of 10, 9.8 times out of 10, find out where you're going to land because of that.
So this whole conflict is sinking the Trump budget bill because it's giving a permission structure to oppose Trump. The conflict, the mess is giving you a permission structure. A permission structure is basically like there's a breakdown in authority that gives people within a certain movement or party or organization or whatever the ability, the permission, if you will, the opportunity to stand up to authority. And it doesn't always exist in every organization at all times, right? When Trump and Musk were together and Trump had just won the election and Trump was strong, it was hard to oppose him. Right? I'm not excusing GOP cowardice, right? But I'm contextualizing it. But right now, with Trump and Musk fighting, with big names in the Republican Party like Musk coming out and opposing the bill, and some of it is just spite against Trump, but Elon is raising points that I think a lot of Republicans agree with, right? In that context, it's giving a permission structure for senators, for people in the House to oppose the bill. And that's what we're seeing. And so keep this in mind. Republicans don't love this bill. They don't. They know it's bad. Either ideologically, a lot of them know that it raises the deficit, and if they're actually, the few Republicans that actually do care about the deficit, it's not a lot of them, but there's some of them. They don't love it. But also you have to remember the Republicans that just don't want to lose their seat. They don't want to lose their seat in the Senate or in the House or whatever. And they know that voting for this disaster of a bill, which hurts the working class to enrich the billionaire class, will hurt them. And so they're taking this opportunity because right now, even just practically, Trump is fighting Elon right now. He doesn't have time to bitch about random senator from whatever state saying, I don't love the bill. Normally, he could devote his attention to bullying that senator. Now, he's too busy.